Hi boys and girls, it's Show back with another video. Tonight, just going to recap the Liverpool versus Man City game, give our thoughts on that and our player ratings for this one. Very exciting game, 2-2 it finished, and as we can see in front of me here, some of the stats. City, I thought, obviously shaded the game. Possession here at 52 to 48. City dominated the first half, really should have got a goal or two during that phase of play, and we always say during games that you need to try and score when you're on top, because especially against sort of talented opposition or opposition that can hurt you, especially on the counter attack. The moment you have a lull is when they can strike, and so if you're not up in the game at that point, then it can obviously be problematic, and it almost proved to be. So I mean, first half, like I say, City definitely dominated it. Liverpool looked a bit sort of shell-shocked, didn't get that pressing game going at all, so it was very sort of easy for City to play out from the back, and then every time that a play broke down on City's end in Liverpool's half, City were like immediately pressing, winning the ball back. I thought Gabriel Jesus and Foden obviously in particular did that fantastically well. Foden gave Milner an absolute torrid time down the left. And really what I noticed throughout the first half in particular was that you saw the problems with Man City not having a recognised striker or someone to get themselves into the box. I thought Grealish obviously had a poor game, was not effective in that position. Didn't really make the forward runs that was needed. Everyone was coming towards the ball, it made it easier for Liverpool. And to think that City still carved out several chances from that just shows how unbelievably good they are in possession and how talented some of their players are. I thought Bernardo Silva in particular was fantastic in midfield, very elusive, but also just he's got such a beautiful weight of pass. It looked like there's not sort of a real angle for a pass, and he'll just do something with the outside of his foot and make a pass, and it's just incredible to watch. Really, he's really sort of come back into this season when people thought he was going to leave. He started like a house on fire. So terrific performance from him. But I in my combined 11 prior to the game, I thought they would go Sterling up front, and I think that would have been the right decision. Either that or moved Foden back into the middle. But Foden showed how effective he was out left. And I think that is his best position, is actually playing on the side of his stronger foot rather than on the right hand side, where you saw from the goal, very much sort of the kind of natural angle for him to strike the ball. He's much sort of better, more natural going across goal. I know he scored one against Liverpool last season on the other side, but I thought actually Edison probably could have done better with that one. I just think Foden's movements, how natural it is for him to take the touch. He's so effective on that left hand side, and so it does bring it in the question if he's in top form. He could easily obviously start ahead of Grealish in that position. And obviously maybe it's just a like-for-like rotation in that position for Grealish. And so when you look into who you're playing up front, I think Gabriel Jesus is just so effective off the right. You saw his work rate there. He gets good crosses in as well. Like I say, on his side, that is his natural side on his right foot. And so the forward line for me, it's Ferran Torres or Sterling or no one. For me personally, I don't understand why Ferran Torres has kind of been phased out. It seems quite a bizarre decision considering how well he played against Arsenal, even though that was a much sort of changed Arsenal to what we see now. But I do think that Raheem Sterling was the answer here, and I think if he was on in the first half, these sort of crosses that were coming in across the box, moments where they sort of got to the byline and then they had to work it backwards, Sterling would have been in a position to maybe get on the end of those, because he is a bit of a tapping merchant. Would be really good from sort of 6 yards out. And also we saw in the second half when the game did start to stretch, and there were moments like that in the first half as well, that Sterling's sort of dynamism in terms of his running, left and right, getting in behind is so effective, and it just brings a well-needed pace into the City attacking line, which they didn't have in that first half. Liverpool, on the other hand, obviously shell-shocked, like I mentioned, in the first half, and then in the second half, they really went at City. I think City then, the shoe was on the other foot really, in terms of they were a bit shocked by the intensity that Liverpool brought into the second half. And then we're seeing Mo Salah at the moment. He's at his absolute best. In terms of form, definitely the best player in the Premier League at the moment. World class performance from him. I thought the if we look through the goals that were scored for the 2-2, I thought the Liverpool goal for Mane's Salah jinx past, it was Gia Concello on the left hand side, and Gia Concello did some kind of like Sergio Ramos kind of back flick tackle. It was absolutely atrocious defending, and yeah, it was way too easy to get Salah going down that byline. And then for him to play a lovely weight of pass into Mane, who is always such a willing runner, and that's where they're so effective, Liverpool, that sort of interchange of positions. It's not just Jota through the middle, Mane will come off the left and make the intelligent runs where the pattern of play is being formed. And yeah, great weight of pass by Salah and terrifically finished by Mane. And then you thought, would City kind of fade, or would they kind of maintain their levels in the game? And they maintain their levels. I think they brought off Grealish for Sterling, absolutely the right substitution. And then they got themselves back into the game with glorious finish by Foden. His first touch was poor, but then to strike it home, it kind of reminded me a bit like one of those Bale goals versus Inter Milan when he first burst onto the scene. Just the finish with aplomb, that sort of death accuracy into the corner, absolutely fantastic. And then continuing, James Milner obviously later on should have been got a second yellow card, didn't. Terrible officiating, and Pep Guardiola rightfully miffed by that, and was in his usual kind of sort of gracious antics of just screaming and sort of throwing his toys out the pram. But to be honest, I would be a bit like that. When you've prepared for such a big game, it should have been sent off, and then City would have probably gone into the ascendancy and at least controlled the game and at the very least secured the draw quite easily. And then obviously, as happens with these kind of decisions and pivotal moments, Liverpool then get the second goal, which you thought would do it, and it's just absolute genius from Salah. The lovely little sort of rollover to get out the tight space. Bernardo Silva going down too easily, probably could have done a lot better there. And then that kind of motion back inside onto his left foot as if he's going to either get a cross in or take the shot on. Laporte selling himself quite easily there, getting sort of almost turned totally with his back to Salah before Salah snaps it back inside onto his right foot and then finishes beautifully off the post. Really poor defensively from City, and it shows that if you get at them and have a bit of invention around the edge of the box, you can actually hurt them. And then obviously De Bruyne scored, City got the look that they deserved through their performance. Foden again, sort of brilliant, good awareness to pick De Bruyne out, or at least Walker, who then stepped over the ball, and then De Bruyne, with a bit of a lucky finish, and then Matip own goal really, or kind of a huge deflection, which certainly helped the ball go into the back of the net. So that's kind of the summary of the game. But if we're just going to crack on with the player ratings now, I'm just going to move this on. So here are the lineups. This is how they started during the game. So obviously both in 4-3-3. As you can see here, we have Grealish up top. I don't think I've seen him play here before at all. When he played for Villa, he'd occasionally play up top, but it was always number 10, and then he would rotate with the striker whether he was going to press. This is the first time I've seen him in this position, and it just doesn't suit him at all. Doesn't have that kind of level of pressing game, doesn't naturally get into the box to try and finish sort of scrappy goals or those kind of like tap-in goals. Was definitely sort of moving out to the left naturally again, and it just wasn't that effective here. But everything else was just like for like. I did the predictions on the 11. Liverpool spot on. The only difference is obviously James Milner coming in for Alexander-Arnold because of Alexander-Arnold's groin injury. Player ratings, I'm just going to whip through this, just using this paint tool. So Alisson, if we just go from top to bottom, thought he had a great game, made some couple of terrific saves. There's one from Foden in the first half where Foden really should have done better, maybe chipped him. But I just think, like I mentioned about between the two, Edison's far superior playing out of the back. Alisson does take a few risks that, his technical ability doesn't always get him out of trouble in it. But in terms of the goalkeeping, it's just, he's much better in my opinion. And in terms of the course of the game, certainly have the more of the defining moments to secure the result for Liverpool. So, for me, I'm going to give Alisson... oh, we're not going to do that. The size is absolutely huge. Yeah, but I'm just going to give him a 7.5. If I can draw it, that is. But yeah, and then Milner, torrid time. I think this is a pretty easy one. Going to give him a 4. Just thought Foden destroyed him. Should have been sent off. Don't think he really offered much going forward as well. So I think that's pretty easy for me. Joel Matip, pretty average display. But I think you can't really blame him for the goal that went in. I'll be kind and just give him a 5 for this one. Van Dijk, 6. Didn't have to do a lot really. Don't think he sort of was influenced to much of the goals. I thought Robertson played well in spells. Robertson's one of those players I think he thrives off the atmosphere. He's one of those players that if you kick him or scream at him or throw water in his face or something like that, he wakes up and he's electric. But if you don't do that, he kind of has these moments where he's in a bit of a malaise, and I don't think he offers a lot. In this game, I thought he was probably the standout player out of that back four though, so I'm going to give him a 6.5. Henderson, I thought he was poor, didn't press particularly well in the first half, improved in the second half, but yeah, I thought City played around him quite easily. Maybe it's still a lack of fitness there, but I don't think he really offered a lot. And I think, maybe with a bit more few options off the bench, like Harvey Elliott being back fit, they might have tried to do something a bit different, really, Liverpool, if they had sort of a full strength squad. Maybe they could have brought on Thiago a bit sooner, in my opinion, really, on this one. So for him, I'm just going to give him a 5. Fabio, yeah, not his best game either. I thought City played him around him quite easily. He sort of get back in on the defence, make some sort of crucial cutouts, really, clearances in the first half that went unnoticed because obviously City sort of was so dominant in the first half. So for me, he's a straight 6. Curtis Jones, I thought he was the pick of their midfield, tried to play forward. Like I mentioned in the Combined 11 video that I did about Henderson, Curtis Jones, for really to kind of cause a dent in City in terms of the possession game and getting on the counter-attack. You'd have to make these forward runs going across here like this. I think for the most part he did that, and his link-up was pretty good. So he's my pick from their midfield, and I'm going to give him a 6.5. Mo Salah, obviously the standout player, unbelievable assist, unbelievable goal, just tantalising to watch. If I wasn't a United fan, I mean, like I said, I'm a massive fan of his anyway. You just got to respect talent, haven't you? So for me, he's an easy 9 in terms of how he played there. Jota, he's an interesting player. Like for me, I think he's always really, really effective against lower teams. Firmino, obviously, he doesn't really offer the kind of goal-scoring prowess that Jota would. Jota's a little bit more clinical when he does get the chances, a bit more energetic on the press. But Firmino works insanely hard. He might not be as quick as Jota to close, but I just think his general link-up sort of unlocks Salah and Mane more in games. And if I was Jurgen Klopp, I would be exploring maybe making a change here sooner rather than later. Just give Firmino a bit of a run of games in the team. So for me, yeah, this one, I'm going to give him a 5.5. And then finally, Sadio Mane got the goal. Some poor touches. Like I say, he's a moments player at the moment. Generally, one of those players, a bit like Ronaldo at United now and stuff like that, where at the moment he seems to fade in games, but then he comes up with all the crucial moments. Because of that, I'm going to punt for a 7 because he got the goal. But yeah, if he'd not got the goal, or if the result had not gone Liverpool's way to get the draw, that could have easily gone down. Yeah, so moving on to City here. Edison, some insane passes, which I want to mark up generally because of how good they were. There was one early in the first half, like it was only about 10 minutes in, where he just kind of fizzed it like over here, drilled, and it just went over the guy's head, right onto, I think it was like Gia Concello's toe. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And then he played obviously that one to Foden out here, which he almost rounded the keeper. Just absolutely terrific. But he has moments of just calamity where he comes for punches. He's done that now. He's got a bit of a history of that. Still a good shot stopper. But I'm just going to give him a 6 because obviously how much he helps City, but certainly not his best day. Gia Concello, just shocking for the goal. I think obviously his general play is fantastic and what he brings to Manchester City, but this is the problem you're going to get with playing an unnatural left back there, quite lazy defensively. Because of his general play and how much he does affect City going forward, and when he sort of moves from this area to getting into around these areas here, and linking things, absolutely fantastic. I won't mark him too harshly based on that one mistake, but certainly not his best day, so we're just going to punt for a 6 here. Laporte, I thought he was good up until, again, the error. I think he's the standout one in terms of playing out the back from the centre-back partnership. I thought largely he was good, certainly in the first half. It's difficult to mark down the City players at the moment because they did play the best out of the game. But some defining moments in the game meant that obviously Liverpool got the result that they, wanted at the end of it based on how the game went. So with Laporte, I'm just going to go 6 as well. Diaz, a little bit more solid. There was that one moment with Jota where he got this booking here, you see, where he kind of rolled him and he slipped, but largely solid. So, he's the pick of their defenders at 6.5. Kyle Walker, obviously crucial in the second goal. That step over. Not great defensively. I think he's been a bit up and down this season, to be honest, in terms of his decision making, which can happen. His pace bails him out a lot, but I'll just go for a 6. Just be standard there. Rodri, now he had some poor moments in the game as well, where it was mainly in the kind of phase of possession when Liverpool started to dominate in the second half and really going at him. He's sort of a bit overwhelmed, and that can happen with a defensive midfielder when you've got a lot of responsibility, and if Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne aren't switched on to kind of assist you in that area when you're getting wave after wave coming at you, and certainly committed Liverpool players in these areas in between the defence and midfield, then you are going to sort of make mistakes. So I wouldn't mark him down too harshly on that, but he made that crucial block in here. He made that block off Fabio, which saved him a goal. Because of that, his general play in the first half, for me, he's going to get a 6.5. De Bruyne, not his best day, got the goal. Seemed off the pace a little bit. I do think his link up wasn't great. He had a few good passes where he slides them down sort of the channel to sort of these sort of runs from in to out, but largely not great. The goal, obviously, you think would push up his rating, but I'm not going to give him more than a 6 because I don't think he was fantastic today. This guy, on the other hand, was absolutely dynamic. Was certainly their driving force in midfield. Offered a bit of bite defensively. I know he didn't sort of do the best effort on Salah for Salah's second goal. Liverpool's second goal, that terrific goal down this side. But just saw his general play. He had this brilliant mazy run where he had 5 people surrounding him, but he somehow got out of it in this area here, and then he slipped a lovely weight of pass over to Foden over here, and Foden, I think it was actually a little bit more there, and he could have just nailed it first time across the goal, and he didn't. He chose to take a touch, it sort of allowed Edison a chance, and it was a poor decision, and really I thought Bernardo Silva's hard work really should have been rewarded there, and it wasn't. So largely I think he was fantastic, so for me Bernardo Silva gets an 8. Gabriel Jesus worked tirelessly. End product wasn't great during the game, I thought, but he's so pivotal to how they sort of press teams, win the ball back. I thought he did that terrifically well, especially in the first half. Kept Liverpool pinned in, and I think if he maybe got more of a clear-cut chance like Foden did in the first half, he may have finished it. So I don't want to mark him too harshly based on sort of his lack of impact on the attacking end. So I'm going to give him a 7. Grealish, a day to forget, I guess. Like, yeah, he's obviously pretty silky in possession, links up well as always, works harder with City than he ever did at Villa, because he knows he'll probably get hooked if he doesn't do that. But this position doesn't suit him at all, and I think you've either got to develop Grealish and maybe persist with him in this position, especially against weaker opposition. A big game like this, that was a harsh decision to put him out there in this position, I thought. But obviously something Pep must have worked on in training, but certainly not his best day. So for me, it's a 5. And then Phil Foden, obviously the standout player for City, absolutely terrific, just so silky. The touches to go around players when he's sort of the weight of pass is beautifully played into him, and he just sucks in, invites the challenge, but just like takes it round him. Terrific decision making in terms of like who to pass to round here. I just thought he was absolutely fantastic. Every decision was almost spot on, bar that one chance in the first half which should have scored. So for me, he was obviously City standout player. Like Salah, I gave a 9. It's a 9 for Foden on City's side. So yeah, that is sort of generally everything for the starting 11. If we look at obviously the bench, not much to talk about really. These are all just straight sort of 5s or 6s, not enough to really influence the game.